Hey everyone, um, welcome back, class 2. Um, so remember in the last video when I explained what mindfulness was, I said it's that we're bringing our attention, which I spoke of as a superpower, to our present moment experience, which are things like the sensations in our body or our thinking, our thoughts, our sounds we hear, feelings that we're having, emotions, moods. So bringing our attention to those present moment experiences, and then also doing that in a kind and curious way, not judging the experience. Because if we judge what's happening, we kind of set up a little battle with our internal self, and that actually causes stress. So we're doing our best to keep the stress at bay, right? So we try not to judge. We might judge our experience, but we do our best not even to judge that. So when we have these skills, right, then we can actually work with our stress. We can manage it and maybe even, hold off a personal dive into overwhelm. So it's really important to be able to understand about your attention and where it's at and what it's doing and what we can do with it. Now, because we all have different life experiences, different limitations, different strengths, different perspectives, our stress can manifest different in our body, and we'll be stressed out about different things. So someone could be really stressed about exams, right? And someone else could be edgy about the pandemic, or someone has a lot of stress, and someone is more chill about different things. So it's all different. What's important is that with mindfulness, we check in, we notice what's happening in our experience, we care for our experience, we respect all of it, because this is our system telling us what's going on and what we need. And so we want to pay a lot of attention and check in. And that's what mindfulness is. We bring our attention to what's happening right here, right? And we try not to judge it. Okay, now having said that, we have all these different experiences, which we can respect for sure. We also have a similar experience of how stress uh, activates in our bodies. So you remember when I talked about attention being a superpower, I also said that there was some weaknesses to it. And one of them being that our attention can get hijacked by the survival brain. So that's common to all of us. And that's what I would like to show you how and why that happens. So let me share my screen here. Okay. So we have a very old part of the brain called the amygdala. Amygdala actually means almond, and it's two almond-shaped pieces actually way in the back. And it evolved first in our brain, the amygdala, because it has a very important job, which is to keep us safe, keep us surviving. Okay, so what it does to do that is it constantly scans our environment for any type of threat, and then it sends that information to our autonomic nervous system, which is our big nervous system, the one with all the nerves and the brain and the you know spinal column that holds all the nerves, and even our stomach, everything that our nerves are connected to. So the amygdala is searching for threat, and then it's sending the information to the autonomic nervous system. And that threat could be anywhere from a little tiny spider walking across your bed to a big earthquake or anything that's going on. It's constantly scanning, making sure that we're safe. That's what its job is. So what happens is when the autonomic nervous system, our big nervous system, gets this information from the amygdala, it decides how to respond. So if there is no threat coming through from the amygdala, is not saying there's a threat, then our nervous system sort of puts on the brakes, right? And they call it rest and digest. So a lot of things happen in the body, right? Our pupils actually can take in a bigger picture. It can look around and see everything. Our heart and breath, heart rate and breath slows down, right? Because we're calming down, we're kind of chill, right? Our blood vessel circulates blood and oxygen to our entire body. Our muscles are relaxed, our temperatures regulates, and we're just doing well. We're feeling good, we're calm, we're rested, feels good, right? Now, if the autonomic nervous system gets from the amygdala that there is a threat detected, boom, within a second, our nervous system change. It like presses the gas pedal, it revs up. And they call this fight or flight. You may have heard of that. And basically is that our body is changing in response to this threat so that we can meet it by either fighting or flight, running, right? Flight. So our pupils change, whereas we could see all the everything, it kind of narrows down to the threat in front of us. It didn't want us to look around and check out the birds. It wants us to like see that, saber-toothed tiger right in front of us. Our heart rate and our breath increase, it goes faster because we're needing more oxygen, right? Our blood vessels adjust for better flow to the extremity, the arms and the legs. So it takes oxygen and blood away from parts of the brain, from the stomach, which is why people who have a lot of stress usually have stomach issues, right? Because there's blood flow being taken away from there in order to go to the arms and legs so that we can fight or run, right? Our muscles tense to get ready to fight or run. And then because we're revved up, we're hot. So now we're sweating because we're cooling ourselves off. So that's the fight flight response. And they call that the sympathetic nervous system. The rest and digest response is called parasympathetic nervous system. So I didn't want to give you this too many big words, but you can, if rest and digest versus fight or flight sounds better, then use that. Okay, but those are the two things that happen depending on what the amygdala sends to the nervous system. Now, in a healthy nervous system activation, it looks something like this, that because we need to rev up sometimes, we need to press the gas. If we're waking up, we can't, go to class half asleep, right? So we wake up, we need to kind of push a little gas pedal so that we can get dressed, and we have a time limit, we have to get out the door at a certain time, so our body gets a little more activated. And then after maybe we get somewhere and we're settled in and we have lunch, take a minute to let that settle in, then we kind of calm down again. And then maybe we have an exam, so we have to study, or we're just worried about it or whatever. So our nervous system, all those changes in our bodies kind of go up. Not a lot, right? They only go up a lot if there's a super threat. So it's coming and going. We're activating and deactivating all through the day. And that's a healthy nervous system. That's what we need in order to meet this challenge of everyday life, okay? But what could happen is that we can get unregulated, dysregulated. And it's too much gas. Sometimes it could be too much brake, actually, and you kind of get down into depression and stuff. But let's talk about the too much gas, the high stress. And so we wake up and say we're late. And so now we really have to run, and we don't have time for breakfast. We're worried because maybe our boss is kind of an angry boss, and so we don't want to be late. It adds more stress. So we get there and somebody in the bus is not wearing a mask, and that's more stressful. And then we didn't have time to eat lunch because we had to make up for being late, and so we shove something down. That doesn't feel good, so that's activating. And then we have that exam, and we just never get a chance to let the nervous system deregulate, right? Go into parasympathetic nervous, into the rest and digest area. And so we just stay up high without being able to calm down. And some of the reasons is that when the sympathetic nervous system gets turned on, right? The amygdala sees a threat and says, that goes fast, like a switch. It just turns on, your blood vessels change, everything. And you know that, like something happens, you can feel your nervous system like rev up, right? But the parasympathetic nervous system takes a long time to engage because it actually has to let all those other systems sort of power down before it can click in and run on rest and digest. So it's easy enough to get stressed out, and you actually have to work at putting on those brakes to calm down, okay? So here's the ways in which you can work to put on those brakes. And I put many here. There's even more, you know. The ones that are in blue are the ones that we're going to do in our class. But I wanted to add some so that you have all the tools at your disposal, you know, in order to put on brakes. So let's look at them. Yeah. So exercise and movement. That actually activates the nervous system. It actually is more of a fight flight thing, but it allows you to blow off that extra stress. It's good, you know, especially if you have music or you're doing something you like. Your body, yes, the what am I saying? You know, you're breathing heavy and that kind of thing is going on, but you're also blowing off some stress. It's a deactivator overall. So being able to move or exercise, that's great. Practicing mindfulness, which is what we're going to do in this class, and we're going to do some in a minute. Sending good wishes. So the woman right there is my daughter and her dog, and sending these wishes of compassion and caring signal to the amygdala, to the survival brain, that, you know, I'm connected to people. People love me and I care about them. So it actually helps the survival brain send the message that things are okay. And we're going to do some of that in our class. Breath work, which we'll do a little bit of that. Basically, we're going to be taking a few deep breaths here and there, but you can look up breath work, and actually that's a really quick way to put on the brakes of your nervous system, because breath is very deeply tied to our nervous system. And that's one of the ways we can regulate it on our own, you know, that we actually have some control over. Because sometimes when the nervous system kicks on, we have no control over that, but we do have some control over regulating our breath. Massage. So, you know, if you have access to a massage, or you can give yourself your own massage, you know, your feet, your hands with some lotion, or just, you know, noticing after, you know, after something stressful, if you had some lotion, you know, in your car or something, and you just, you know, rub each finger or something, take a moment. Again, you're allowing that rest and digest to kick in so that the nervous system can regulate itself. Noticing the good. So that picture of the sunset or sunrise, whichever way, whichever coast you're on, you know, there's a lot of things that are going well. And because the amygdala is all about keeping us safe, it doesn't necessarily pay attention to what's going well. So we can actually use mindfulness to bring our attention to what's going well, so that the survival brain, the amygdala, can pick that up and send that information, right? That, oh, things are kind of going well. Body scan, and that's my kitty right there. We're going to do some noticing different parts of our bodies, like what are the sensations in the different parts of our bodies. Sometimes that can be very soothing, you know, to just notice what the inside of your palms feel like, or what your feet feel like, bringing your attention to those areas and those sensations. Sometimes it doesn't feel good for people, and so again, that's a way in which we pay attention to our own nervous system, notice what's going on, and we change it up, right? It's very empowering to be able to try something, know if it works, trust if your body says it doesn't work, and then try something else, right? And that sends the message to the survival brain that you're being cared for. Yeah. Gratitude, which is one thing we'll practice. It's another one of those things, like sending good wishes, another one of those states of being, feeling grateful, that sends a message to the survival brain that, you know, there's a lot of good going on, and we're in abundance, maybe. Yeah. Nature, nature, spending time in nature is, we are nature. And so we really resonate with even the colors of nature, the smells of nature, the sounds of nature. And that's very regulating for our nervous system. So anytime you can spend in nature, in a park, or with flowers, gardening, or something like that. Even animals are nature. So whatever you can do to have some nature in your life, I would encourage it. And then of course connection, right? Family and friends, and we've been a little limited now, right, because of the pandemic. But if you can, even get on Zoom, or the friends that are in your little uh, pod, connect with them, calling someone when you feel sad, or just to see how your neighbor's doing. That kind of connection, again, it sends the message to the survival brain that you're in a community and cared about. And so we want to use these things to send as much information to the survival brain that we're okay, right? So that the nervous system has its time to do its deregulation if and when we get activated, which we will, because life is activating. Okay. And that last picture is actually my family. Okay. The other part of my family doesn't have my daughter in it. Okay. Let me stop sharing. Okay, so let's do a practice um, to help put on the brakes, okay? Okay, so I invite you first to get comfortable. So remember, just really, rearrange your chair however you want your pillows to be, or lean back, put your feet up. And then check in, is that comfortable? We're bringing our attention to the present moment experience of comfort. Maybe there's one more thing you can adjust, or maybe you're good. And so now I'm going to ask you to allow your eyes to close if that feels good. Otherwise, see if you can just have a low gaze somewhere a little bit in front of you. Basically, what we're doing is trying to mitigate the stimulation, right? We don't want to be looking all around while we're sitting, right? We want to get something that's soothing, either eyes closed or a low gaze, just so that we can go inward a little bit. And so now I'm going to invite you to take 1 to 3 deep breaths. And before you do that, I'd like to just say that the important part is the exhale, believe it or not, because that is actually really putting on the brakes, right? When you inhale, actually your activation goes up, your breath rate increases a little bit, your heart increases, and then when you exhale, it decreases. So if you can bring it, so like bring the emphasis on the exhale. Let it be long. Kind of, if you push your lips a little bit, it kind of slows down the exhale because your mouth is not so wide open. Okay, so now just I invite you to check out sensing into your body. See if you notice the contact points of your body to what you're sitting on or to what's holding you up. And we're looking for the sensation. So you can probably feel your butt on the chair and the cushion. The sensation of the cushion is soft, or maybe it's warm. Maybe you're sitting on a hard chair, you can notice that. What's the sensation of where your feet are? Are they on the firm floor? Are they propped up on the couch? What's the sensation of your back leaning against, or what's holding you up, whether you're lying down or you're sitting? And you can notice where your hands are, what they're touching and what that feels like, cool or moist or soft. So you'll notice these contact points. And now see if you can notice actually the sensation of gravity. So it's that sensation of being pulled down or feeling heavy or being pulled toward the chair. So as you notice that kind of weighted feeling, you'll also notice the contact points of the chair, the couch that's holding you up. So what we're noticing is the support. Can you sense into that feeling, that sensation of being held up? And seeing if you can just sink down into that, just letting yourself, let the gravity in the chair do its job. You just go with it. The gravity's pulling you down, the chair's holding you up, and you're just noticing. Sometimes you can feel the tenderness of being held up. And we can soak that in a little. We move all day, we direct our body to do things, have so much to attend to. And right now, we're just letting the gravity and the support do its job. We're not doing anything except allowing it to happen and noticing. So, what else do you notice here? Sensations of support, sounds. Maybe there's some thoughts. What else are you noticing in your body? Can Continue to be curious about what's going on. So this is our present moment experience right here. However it is, this is it. And if the survival brain, you know, as it's doing its scans, notices that we're being held, feeling supported, it will send that information to the nervous system. And also, if this experience does not feel good for you, was there any one part that we did that felt pleasant? Was it the getting comfortable, noticing the comfort? Was it focusing on the low gaze? Was it noticing the contact points, bringing our attention to those warmth of the cushion? Was it feeling the gravity? Is there any one action we did that felt pleasant or even neutral? So bring your attention to that. And if at any point it doesn't feel good, you can open your eyes and look around. Do that orienting that we did at the beginning last video. Mindfulness is about noticing what's here. When we recognize that it's helpful, we'll stick with it and soak it in. If it's not helpful, we can move away if it gets too overwhelming. Okay, so now prepare yourself to come back. Maybe you can wiggle your toes or your fingers. Move your body a little, and when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. Okay, and then get your bearings. Just make sure that I haven't forgotten anything. Okay, so that was your second mindfulness practice. And we brought our attention to gravity. We actually moved our attention a couple of times. We brought it to the contact points. We took deep breath, notice that. Contact points, what gravity felt like, what it felt like to be supported. And then kind of opened it up, like, what else did we notice here? So that's what it's like to work with your attention. And that's what we'll be doing. So if you have any questions, email me. And okay, see you next video. Bye-bye.